I would like to welcome Dr. Sandeep Goyal to the stage. Next, I would like to welcome our guest of honor, Mr. Sanjeev Bikhchandani, to the stage. Next, I would like to welcome Mr. Shaak to the stage. Finally, I would like to welcome Mrs. Radhika Puri to the stage.
डीन सर को सबसे पहले देना था फिर
Thank you. First, I would like to welcome Dean Sir for a short address to the crowd.
Mr. Sanjeev Bikhchandani, Mr. Sandeep Goyal, the august members on the dais, my dear colleagues, the batch of 80s. There are a lot of mix of people, so I would not like to single out one particular batch, but we are very happy to have you with us, my dear students and colleagues. It's a pleasure to have a well-accomplished professional to the core, Mr. Sanjeev. And I don't want to be standing between his words of wisdom and the audience. I'll just take a couple of minutes to welcome each and every one of you. This event of Nitin Puri, memorable and illustrious alumnus of FMS. Thanks to Dr. Sandeep Goyal for organizing this event every year. This particular event showcases some of the best achievers in the business world, and we are fortunate to have one among them to be addressing today, and providing us the words of wisdom. FMS, as all of you would know, that is in its 70th year, and we have traveled a long distance in grooming business leaders who stand out on their own in terms of their accomplishments. We just had several of them today visiting back to the campus and having spent a few hours there reminiscing the entire journey that they have gone through and some of the very well accomplished people amidst us today. A warm welcome to all those who have traveled distances to be part of this entire celebration today. So we celebrate Nitin Puri's memory, and we also would like in that process learn a great deal about how to run wonderful businesses and a successful one at that. Thank you so much, and hope we have a great deal of learning today. Thank you.
We are privileged to have with us today Dr. Sandeep Goyal, a name synonymous with excellence in advertising and media. A proud FMS alumnus from the batch of 1984, he is the chairman and managing director of Rediffusion, one of India's largest independent advertising agencies. It is known for handling prestigious brands like BMW, Parle, Taj Hotels, Tata Power, and Dabur. With an illustrious career spanning over 4 decades, Dr. Goyal has been associated with industry giants such as J. Walter Thompson, DDB Mudra, and Z Telefilms. And apart from his business accomplishments, he is also a prolific writer, having authored over 9 books, including The Dum Dum Bullet, Conjure the Fighting Spirit, and many more. His sharp insights, regularly featured in the Economic Times, Business Standard, Mint, and Campaign, make him one of the most respected thought leaders in the industry today.
Good afternoon. Coming back to FMS every year is very, very special. And with the Nitin Puri Memorial Lecture, at least we've made it now almost like appointment viewing. So, you got to come back first Friday of February to FMS. I'm delighted that some of my batch are here, and this gives us a great opportunity to get together and, of course, be back at FMS. For me, of course, unlike most people here, I am a double alumnus. So I was here in '84 to do my MBA when I passed out, and then I came back to do my PhD under Dr. Singla. So always great and a pleasurable trip back to FMS. Just a couple of minutes on Nitin. Already a good introduction has been made to the fabulous TT champion that he was. More importantly to me, a great friend, a very respected professional. When he passed away, about 4 years ago, honestly, I felt a big void, and I thought to commemorate his memory, we must do something by which we remember him, both at FMS and otherwise. So I'm delighted that at least this memorial lecture is now into its third year. We had Sanjay Gupta, the CEO of Google, who now heads up Asia Pacific for Google, who was our first speaker. Then we had Harit Nagpal, who is an FMS alumni, managing director of Tata Play, fabulous speaker. Some of you heard him last year. And this year, of course, we have the honor of having Padma Shri Sanjeev Bikhchandani with us. Big round of applause for him. Sanjeev is so well known that I don't even think you have to do a Google search on him. But for me, Sanjeev is a very dear friend. Almost 35 years ago, more. 89. He was my client at Horlicks, which in those days was the most advertised or heaviest media spent brand in this country. He'd just come back from IIM Ahmedabad after having worked at Lintaz. Then he went to IIM Ahmedabad, and we had some really, really nice times together. So I was honored when I requested him to come and speak at the lecture this year, and he promptly said yes. So we're looking forward to what I'm sure is going to be a great session. Welcome, Sanjeev. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And again, both honored and privileged to have you with us.
Thank you.
Next, I would like to invite Mr. Shaak Srivastav. Shaak sir graduated in economics from St. Stephen's College in 1979 and went on to pursue his MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. After working in India with Hindustan Liver and the Indian Express in marketing, he went ahead with 2 stints in advertising in Lintas and in Lintas in Madras, which is where he became friends with Nitin Puri sir. Moving to Dubai in 1983, he had a long career in shopping center management and ratio before moving on to his own consultancy in the mall and retail space. He has worked extensively in the Middle East, Turkey, Portugal, and India. I would like to invite Shaak sir to the stage.
Good afternoon, everybody. I really don't know what I'm doing up here on stage. We've got serious professionals and institution builders here. And so I guess I'm here because I'm a friend of Nitin's. I knew him for the better part of 30 years, him and Radhika. Our families are friends, our children are friends, and Sandeep has this incredible way of honoring people, and he has really honored me by asking me to sit up here and say something about Nitin. I'll keep it short. I'll try and give you a little bit of picture. Everybody knows what he did in terms of his work and his professional achievements. He was a great professional, but try and tell you a little bit about the person he was. So as it was said, I met him when I became general manager of Lintas and in Madras in those days. There's no Lintas now and there's no Madras now, but there was both in 1992. And when we went there, then the thing which bound us was that both our wives were pregnant. And pretty soon after, we both had our first children. That's a huge bond. Huh? Many of you are too young for that, but it makes a big difference. So then we got to know each other as professionals. You know, the advertising business has changed a lot now, but in those days it was all about traditional advertising. And one of the most difficult things in that business was to be a good judge of creative. And Nitin was a great judge of creative. And that's what made him an outstanding advertising professional whom I learned a lot from. But he was also, he could manage things really well. Nitin was undemonstrative, pretty much unflappable, at least on the outside, and pretty much on the inside on most occasions. And I'll tell you a story, which is, we had a very large client whom I will not name, and we had to present, the client was very finicky, and he had to present a film. You know, in those days we made these TV commercials, well they still do, but we had made a TV commercial, we needed to present it to him. This client, for some odd reason, always wanted options. I guess many clients did. But so he wanted, this is the final sort of take of this film, he wanted 2 options. And as usual in the advertising business, you know, deadlines are terrible and they never met. So we were already delayed and the client was upset. And finally, when the films arrived, we realized that there was actually only one option on the tape. So Nitin told me, don't worry. I said, what do you mean? I'm so stressed out. So we went there, and without telling an untruth, Nitin presented 2 cuts of the film to the client, and the client sat deeply looking at each of the options and saying, no, I like this one better. So that evening or that afternoon, I learned a lot from Nitin Puri. And he did it in his usual unflappable style. I walked out sweating from that room. And I was pretty new then, but he was calm. He said, Dekho, ho gaya? Koi problem nahi hua na? Film is through. Next day it was on TV. So, as I said, he was unflappable, undemonstrative, and yet cared deeply, deeply for people. He was a tremendous mentor, and over the years I saw him mentoring people, though never appearing to mentor them. If ever anybody had said that he was a mentor, he would have denied it flatly, because that's not how he saw himself. But he was a mentor. He was the kind of person that, and to me, that's what management is all about. That's what leadership is about, that you can mentor people without making a big deal about it. And then, interestingly, we both moved to Dubai at the same time. And because we worked in the same organization, we couldn't reveal the fact that we were going to move to Dubai. So we found ourselves in Dubai with our little babies, who were by then these 2 daughters who had become a year old. And we were there and together and thrown together with, you know, very little money. In those days, as we realized, we had negotiated badly and we really didn't have enough money. But we had a great time. We used to meet every weekend and we used to scrimp and scrounge and take small trips and little pleasures, you know, in doing stuff together. He worked in Bates, as was said, and I worked in the shopping center business. So twice after that, Nitin was also my agency. So again, we worked together. Now I was his client, and that incredible relationship of the past only grew to sort of make it better. We also did stuff together. We took holidays. I'll tell you another little story. Nitin was, as I said, quite unflappable in that, but he was also, it took a lot to move him from one state to another state. whatever it was. So we took a holiday to Istanbul, and my wife, who was at least then extremely enthusiastic about seeing the maximum in a place, had fixed all these interesting trips, or interesting or not, but trips every morning. We started at 8:30, which for Nitin was like, So then the four of us would get onto this bus, or two of us would get onto this bus with Nitin still eating his breakfast, and we pretended that we never knew these guys. But he was, again, unflappable. So that's a little bit about the kind of person he was. He then handled his illness with also an equanimity, which was to be seen. I don't know, again, how he felt inside. But he handled it. When you asked him questions, he answered them. He never appeared stressed by it. And he dealt with it, which was another learning for me and for everybody around him. So he was pretty special. That's how he handled his life, his personal life, his work life. He handled his ups and downs. And for all of us, there's a lot of learning in that. They have two lovely children who are both married now, and I had the opportunity to attend one of their weddings very recently, and they are really Nitin would have been proud. And that's another thing which I think people forget about you. You are a leader and mentor, not just in your workplace, but also at home, and he was to both his children. I fell seriously ill in January of 2020 and was in hospital in the ICU and out of it a few days later. And on the 27th of January, Nitin and Radhika visited me, and we spent 3 hours. And Nitin and I basically changed Dubai, changed the world, solved all the world's problems. And then on the morning of the 29th, he was gone. I will miss him forever because I learned so much of him. For him, he was so special for me. Thank you very much.
It is an absolute privilege to introduce our keynote speaker, Mr. Sanjeev Bikhchandani, a pioneer in India's digital revolution. He is the founder of InfoEdge India Limited, the company behind Naukri.com, which redefined online recruitment in India. An alumnus of St. Stephen's College and IIM Ahmedabad, he took a bold leap into entrepreneurship in 1997, building what would become India's first publicly listed company. Through InfoEdge, he has played a pivotal role in the success of Zomato, Policy Bazaar, and several other groundbreaking startups. Beyond his business acumen, Mr. Bikhchandani has been a guiding force in India's entrepreneurial ecosystem, actively contributing to organizations such as TIE, NASSCOM, and AIMA. His commitment to philanthropy, particularly his support for Ashoka University and the 1947 Partition Archive, reflects his deep dedication to education and historical preservation. In recognition of his outstanding contributions, he was honored with the Padma Shri in 2020. I would now like to request Sir to start the keynote address.
Thank you. So Nitin was 2 years senior to me in college at across the road, St. Stephen's College. And, I can't say I was a close friend. He was 2 years senior. But, he was a really nice guy. Where you don't have to spend time with your juniors. Actually, when you're in college, you're busy with your own thing. But he always had time to have a chat. He visited our dorm rooms in residence in St. Stephen's College. He would talk to us. He probably, wouldn't have even remembered me after 30, 40 years. Okay, but we remembered him because, he was Nitin Puri. He was table tennis champion. And he was always very polite and down to earth. And he was, always well dressed, dapper. He had style, panache, He was the only person I met in my life who would smoke a cigarette with a cigarette holder. And I was impressed. Okay? And he was in FMS after my first year. And he would visit St. Stephen's College before class, after class, and between classes. He was often on campus. You were never in FMS? No. Okay. That's because you were in St. Stephen's. Okay. Okay. So yeah, I really liked him. And we fell out of touch. He finished FMS in 84. I finished St. Stephen's in 84. And we went our own separate ways. And I did not meet him again. I, of course, got news from him now and then. And when he passed away, it was, of course, a great sense of loss. Although I had not met him for, close to 40 years. Yeah. So a really good guy. Okay. Like a good MBA, I've come totally unprepared. Right? And I thought what I would do is I need to now escape. I need to put on this PowerPoint slide.
Yatin.
Hi, Yatin. Okay. So what I thought I'd do is I'd take a little shortcut. I would ask you people, what is it that you want to hear? Within the broad, put on a blank slide here. Sure. Just. एक मिनट है. Okay. So, if you give me questions, I can structure my talk. We'll talk for half an hour, right? Whatever.
Your time.
I'll structure my talk around that if you have questions. Otherwise, I'll give my gyan. Yeah, anybody? Yes.
So what do you look for in the perfect entrepreneur before deciding for an investment?
Okay.
Before deciding for investment.
Got it.
Next.
Anybody else? Yes.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. Aman here. So I wanted to know more about the story of Ashoka University, like how it established and why don't we have that many like multidisciplinary university in India? Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
As an MBA graduate from, I would dare to say, one of the top colleges in India, why should I leave a well-paying job and take up entrepreneurship as a career?
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir. Swapnil here. Should an entrepreneur live for the day or should they be peeking into the future? What should their philosophy be?
So good afternoon, my name is Sanjeev. So I wanted to know if somebody wanted to get into entrepreneurship but they don't have any particular business idea, how do they go about finding the right opportunity?
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I wanted to ask about the role played by accelerators or incubators that run in colleges and how can we make the most out of the support they provide. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is. Question is, if I'm not motivated by money, nor am I motivated by social impact, would entrepreneurship be an ideal option if I would still like to have some positive change in the world?
Yeah. Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Nancy. So my question is that looking back at your own journey, reflecting on your journey, is there any decision that you think you could have taken differently and something that you would have done differently in your entrepreneurial journey?
Good afternoon, sir. So my question is, if you think that you have an idea, what's the correct time to start it? Should you go for an experience and then build upon it, or should you directly jump and learn within the experience?
Hello, sir.
कहाँ पे हैं? Yeah.
Sir, my question was during the initial years of the startup, actually the founders faced the dilemma of actually focusing on profitability or actually burning cash for expansion. So, what should be the focus in the initial years?
Okay.
Hello, sir. My question was that, as you mentioned in one of your interviews, looking for a repeatable, profitable unit. What lens do you think we as MBA students should put on to look for it in today's AI world? And also, one more personal question was that how did you get the guts to jump in an entrepreneurial venture? And how do you think that we should replicate it?
Okay, 1 second. Got
Getting too crowded.
No, 1 second. Just 1 second. Yeah. What is the guts? Okay.
Yeah. Good afternoon, sir. My question is from a B school perspective. What more can B schools do to produce more entrepreneurs?
I'm not saving it. Yeah.
Well, I think no more questions.
Okay. Yeah. Last question.
So my question is, would you recommend getting into entrepreneurship right after college or go the corporate way, get job in?
So this is a question been asked. When to become entrepreneur? It's already been asked. I'll cover it. Yeah. Okay. Last question.
Good afternoon, sir. I wanted to ask that as the company scales, how do you ensure that it is still aligned with its core values and what it's set out to achieve? Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Sir, last question in Hindi, if you don't mind.
Hindi?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll type it in English.
Sure. क्या करें जब पैसे की चाह खत्म हो जाए? I'm an entrepreneur myself. सोचा था बहुत पैसे कमाएंगे, अब वो चाह खत्म हो गई और पैसे कमाने की. So how to reignite that thought?
What do I do with this money? That's a nice problem to have, yeah. No tension. Okay. So I've got a flavor of the questions. It makes my job easier, right? So now I can talk about things that.
Full screen करने,
Huh?
Let me visible more.
Full screen, yeah, बड़ा technical हो रहा है.
वो जरा video meeting आने दे.
ये क्या है? नहीं, ये full screen है? ओ यहाँ पे नहीं है. Okay. Save कर दें? अच्छा यार. Okay, so let's start with why entrepreneurship. Most basic question. There is no reason. It's okay to not be an entrepreneur, right? No pressure, right? It's okay to do what you're interested in, what you want to do, and it's perfectly fine to have a corporate career in a company, or go and do a PhD and become an academician, or write to civil services. By my class of 171 students I remember, we have 6 IAS officers after IIM. They wrote there. So you can do what the hell you want to do. It's okay, right? But why entrepreneurship? So let me tell you why not entrepreneurship. And first of all, you don't take up entrepreneurship to make money. Because the truth is when you become an entrepreneur, chances are, for a longish period of time, there'll be a financial struggles. And there'll be a period of time when there's no light at the end of the tunnel. And you don't know what the hell is going to happen. And maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't happen. So, I quit my job in 1990, and we launched Naukri in 97. For 7 years I drifted. Until the year 2000, raise venture capital. In the first 10 years, for roughly 7 years, I could not take a salary. So there was no way I was doing entrepreneurship to make money. And most people have financial struggle until they get money, either investment or they are profitable. So, and there is no guarantee that will happen. So when you embrace entrepreneurship, you embrace uncertainty. So you do it for other reasons. You do it because that's what you want to do. You do it because you're sick of doing what you were doing or are doing. You do it because you have a different goal or target and say, to get there, I have to do my own thing. Right? You do it because you are chasing something bigger. And you do it because you have an idea that is now possessing you. You will karna hi hai. And sometimes you do it because in an era of abundant capital, maybe something giving you some money to do it. But that still doesn't guarantee success. So don't, and especially coming out of a premier business school where you've got serious options, you don't dabble in entrepreneurship. You do it if you're serious about it. And you do it for reasons other than making money. Because chances are you won't make money for a while. Or if you do, you certainly won't make profit for a while. So there'll be uncertainty. So I'll tell you my story. So I studied economics at St. Stephen's, and 84, it's very hard to get a job out of college unless you're an engineer. Right? A BA economics was not a professional qualification. तो कैंपस पे 3-4 कंपनी आती थी, 5 कंपनियां. तो जो चाय की कंपनी आती थी, they put you in a tea garden. There was this, J Engineering and Usha Sales, table fan khरीदते थे. They put me in sales. There was a very coveted manual training product called DCM, which would take a graduate. They'll take postgrads, they'll take MBAs, they also take graduates. But you have to write a longish essay and statement of purpose in that form. And I was really lazy, yaar. तो मैंने अप्लाई नहीं किया. ऐसे कौन लिखेगा? So, and suddenly, first time, an ad agency called Dintest came to St. Stephen's, and they said, "Bhai, तुम्हारा entrance exam होगा और GD interview होगा, and those who are interested, get a job." Now, the entrance exam was multiple choice, CAT, SAT type thing. I was good at that. So मैंने वो exam लिख दिया. I got the interview call. GD interview हुआ, and I got an offer. And I said, मैं ये करूँगा. I'll do my MBA after 2-3 years. So I went and joined Dintest in first year Delhi, second year Bombay. The salary in 84 was महीने के 1500 रुपए, 1,500 a month. Which, if you're living at home with your parents, you would get by. But if you live in a different city, it's hard. Even 1500 rupees was reasonable money, but away from home was hard. Anyway, I got a job, and I was thrilled and happy. So मैंने वो 3 साल किया, and then I went and did my MBA. And after my MBA, I worked in a company that is now called GlaxoSmithKline. Then it was called HMN. I was in consumer marketing, and I was handling a working on a brand called Horlicks, which is where I met Sanjeev. He was working in HTA, and I was working on the Horlicks account, among other brands. And I was on the client side, I was on Horlicks, and that's where we became friends. तो मैंने वो 1.5-2 साल किया. अब 5 साल करने के बाद I kind of concluded that, I don't really want this life. I don't want to rise up the corporate sector, a large corporation, as an employee manager up the hierarchy. And the reasons were 2-3 fold. I could see my future. At HMM, I could see my future. That if I do a good job sitting on this desk, in 3 years' time, I might be in that cabin. In 5 years' time, in that cabin, and in 15 years' time, I might be here marketing either here or somewhere else. Right? But then I used to ask myself, that time I was 25, 26. I asked myself that, 32 years later, when I'm 58, it's the one where I retired at 58 only. When I'm 58 and I retire, and I look back, what will I have to show for myself? He sold a lot of Horlicks. Right? And do I find meaning in that goal or ambition? And I said, maybe, maybe not. So, I said, for me to the search for meaning, I'm not going to find meaning in a corporate career. मैं 5 साल कर लिया, 2 मल्टीनेशनल में काम कर लिया, मेरे को और नहीं करना. But the icing, on the cake was, we were the gods of small things. तो हॉर्लिक्स की बोतल थी, बोतल पे लेबल था, लेबल पे डिजाइन था, तो there was this blue label and red border. Okay. So somebody told the managing director in one meeting, sir, in India gold is valued. So if you put a thin gold line between the red border and the blue label, it'll get a value perception, और image बढ़ेगी और sale बढ़ जाएगी. So the CMD said, good thought, but it is too much of a risk. Why don't we go and test market the label in one market?
Signal value.
Coimbatore. Okay. And then we will find out. अगर sale घटी नहीं तो हम कर देंगे. So I said, okay. Now this is before I joined the company. So the conversation हुई. So a batch of labels was printed, and it was put in the Coimbatore market. Why Coimbatore? Because Tamil Nadu is the most important market for Horlicks, and Coimbatore is not the most important city; the second most important. We can't risk the biggest city, which is Madras and Chennai now. तो Coimbatore आते हैं. Sorry, Madurai, not Coimbatore, Madurai. Right? And so it was put in Madurai. Now, like a good, MBAs, after doing this, people forgot about it. Meanwhile, I joined the company. I didn't know about this, nobody briefed me. 1 year later, the CMD suddenly asked, hey, what happened to the test market? So people have forgotten about it. So they came and jumped on my head, what happened to the test market? I said, what test market? Don't you know there was a test market, new label in Madurai? You catch the afternoon flight and you go to Madras and you reach Madurai by tomorrow morning. I said, look, I have so much work, I can't do this now. It's waited 1 year, it can wait 2 months more. So no, do it now. So I was sent off home. I packed my overnighter. I got the ticket, flew to Madras, like evening flight, landed at night. At night, 10 o'clock, I went to the bus station in Madras and caught the overnight bus to Madurai. Okay. This was around September, October. It was really humid in Madras. I mean, I was sweating. It was, really humid. Anybody got my bus from Chennai to Madurai? No? Yeah, you have. It's a bad idea. Right? It's a terrible idea. Right? So anyway, it's the Tamil Nadu State Road Transport Corporation bus, non-AC. I was on a direct AC. And I get out of the bus at night by taking the spot, and the bus is bouncing along, and it's dusty and it's sweaty and all of that, and I can't sleep. At 4 a.m., I get up, I go to the back of the bus, I take off my clothes and I change. I'm hoping nobody wakes up and turns around. Okay? So And it reaches Madurai at 6 a.m. And I get off and I wash my face in the tap, the public tap at the bus stand, because that's what I could do. I haven't shaved. I haven't brushed my teeth. I haven't eaten anything. And the local sales guy comes and we go shop to shop. And I'm carrying with me mounted old label, new label in the shop. And I don't speak Tamil. They don't know Hindi. So there's this guy who's translating. And I'm asking this guy, has this new label made any difference? And the guy is looking at me totally bewildered. I mean, look, I know it won't make a difference. It won't make a damn difference. Common sense. But I have to do this. Because it's my job. And the guy eventually, all shoppers eventually start laughing in my face. You came from Delhi to ask us this question. Okay. After 2 hours, 20 shops, I tell the guy, I think we're done for the day. Okay. However, my mother has told me, she told my mother, I go to the temples. So take me to the temple. So I go to the temple, I do one whatever, and I haven't had a bath, so I probably broke some roots. But I do one parikrama and I get the prasad packet, and my mom will be happy. And I catch the night train to Madras and the connecting flight to Delhi. And I write a report, which says, test market, widely successful, please extend nationally. Right? And I'm saying to myself, man, I went to IIM Ahmedabad for this. और अगर इन लोगों को 2-3 साल 4 साल ऐसा और करना पड़े, do I really want this future? So incidents like this sealed it for me. मैं कुछ नहीं कर रहे. I didn't find meaning in this job. I didn't find purpose in this job. So I said I'll quit. So, which is what I did. I had no big idea. I had one small idea. So when I was in my, second year at IMA, placement season. So I had worked for 3 years in advertising, then gone to IMA. In those days, companies who went to the IIMs to hire would only hire trainees. They would not give credit to your work experience. I had 3 years of work advertising work experience, which I felt was relevant if I wanted to do consumer marketing. They would hire only trainees. So I said, yeah, I can't go through placement because I want a job which will, which is not an entry level. I need credit for work. So I went outside of placement to a company, HMM, that was not coming to campus, and I applied and I got a job. And I opted out of placement. So when I opted out of placement, the placement chair was the professor said, listen, you're volunteering to help me. I need help. So I said, sure, sir. And my job was that of a concierge. I would have to receive the interviewers at the campus gate, escort them to the interview rooms, make sure tea, coffee, biscuits are served, make sure the candidates lining up in the right order outside the interview room, right? Make sure that things happen on time. Then I would take them for lunch, which was for me a very important thing because the lunch was very high quality lunch compared to the student mess. And so that was my motivation for doing this. And so मैंने किया. Now, in my year, something happened. So on day 1 of placement, there were 4 companies. This is 89. The 4 companies were Hindustan Lever, Procter & Gamble, Citibank, and Bank of America. So those were the top companies in those days. There were no consulting companies, no banks, no PE funds, nothing. This is 89, pre-liberalization. And, as luck would have it, Lever had come with 4 interviewers, so they were running 2 panels simultaneously. Citibank, on the other hand, had come with 8 interviewers, and they were running 4 interview panels simultaneously. And all the interview rooms were next to each other in the student hostel. So the lever guy who was there, the head of HR, got very worried. He was worried that the Citibank is doing 4 interviews simultaneously, so they will process the students faster and they will make them final job offers, and people will accept those job offers and they won't even come for the final round of levers because we are slow. हम तो तुम्हारे 2 ही फाइनल चल रहे हैं, उनके 4 चल रहे हैं, right? और एक बार किसने जॉब ऑफर एक्सेप्ट कर दिया, he's out of placement, he can't even come for an interview. So what the lever head of HR did, if he liked the person across the table, he would take out a letter, the offer it, sign, accept it, walk with me to placement office, and don't go for Citibank interview. So जब ये हुआ, you know, the Citibank guys found out because candidates stopped turning up for interviews. क्या हो रहा है? Sir, they have accepted lever offer. हैं? How? So next sir वो lever ये कर रहा है, you know. So झगड़ा हो गया वहाँ पे. You know, the Citibank guys invaded the lever room and they started screaming, shouting. Almost there was almost physical violence. I'm watching all this. I'm the concierge. I'm responsible. Okay. So anyway, there was all sorts of chaos that day. You know, open town hall, GBM was held. All students, all profs. You know, sounds familiar, right? So the students who got lever and wanted it are defending lever. They become good company men already. The students who have been forced to sign lever but actually want Citibank are really upset, but they can't say so because in case the lever offer is withdrawn, they have no job because because Citibank ने offer दिया नहीं अब तक. वो finally हुआ नहीं है. And everybody else who's not got a job at all is saying, boss सबको बाहर करो placement से, जिसको offer मिला है. हमारे chances खराब हो रहे. So there's complete chaos on campus. But from there, I got my first product idea, which is that if someone were to do a salary survey of what companies are paying MBAs, fresh MBAs, in placement at the top campuses, there will be demand for this salary survey. The market had given me a signal. Market gave me signals. This was our first product. And it worked. And that is how I became an entrepreneur. But you करना नहीं है. मेरे को दुकान जाके ये गोल्ड लाइन करनी नहीं है. ये आइडिया है. Let's try it. Of course, I did a smart thing. I married a batchmate from IIM. So she was working in Nestle and earning a salary. So I said, yeah, ये risk reduce हो गई, financial risk, right? And so we would live off her salary for the next 5 years while I experimented with my career. Right? That is one risk reduction strategy. My second risk reduction strategy was, I wrote, see, उस समय the management school boom was starting. There was otherwise, 4 IIMs, SMS Bajaj Excel 7, Chandigarh 8, maybe 1 or more. बाकी business school अब उभर रहे थे, आ रहे थे. उनको faculty की shortage थी. They're all new business schools. So I wrote to everybody in already. This is my CV. I am Ahmedabad, 89 batch, 5 years experience advertising marketing. I am very happy to take a course. My sole aim was, see, I had quit a job at 5,500 तनख्वाह, take home. I said, 2,500 रुपये मिल जाए ना, I'm okay. So if I teach on weekends at 250 rupees an hour, but nobody wrote back to me. Nobody was interested in an 89 batcher. Just this is 1990. This is 1990. Okay. So, but then what happened was, a colleague of mine in HML wanted to quit and go overseas for his PhD. And to do that, he had written to the director of IMT Ghaziabad, who was his former professor from IIM Calcutta, and saying, I need to get some teaching experience. So it will help me in my PhD, if I get some teaching experience in my PhD. So that guy, I called him for as a visiting faculty in consumer behavior, sir. तो आप पढ़ाते हैं, ठीक है? उसका प्रसाद नायक जो पढ़ा रहा था in IMT Gaziabad in 1989. So I went to him and said, यार मेरे को भी चाहिए. So he said, हाँ, तो आजा मेरे शहर में. I'll take you to the director of IMT Gaziabad. I said, but first tell me, which is the marketing course that was taught worst in IMT Gaziabad last year? So he says, marketing and service industries. Now, marketing and service industries in 1989 was a course taught nowhere. First time I heard of it. ये भी अलग चीज़ होती है. And IMT Gaziabad was the first institution in the country teaching it. Somehow, I did not know how. So I said, अच्छा ठीक है, मैं पढ़ा दूँगा वो. Bat on the front foot, So I said, why was it taught badly? He says, because half it was taught by visiting faculty and half of the course got transferred to Bombay. So the course was not completed. So the students were merged into my program and I had to take twice the classes to get the same credit to everybody. So there's no faculty. So they will take you. So we went to IMT Gaziabad and met the director. And he said, sir, I have solved your problem in marketing and service industries. So the guy looked at me and he said, Acha, 89 MBA. I said, sir, I have 3 years work experience prior. So total 5 years over. Acha, maybe 5 years. Acha. But what makes me think you're qualified to teach? I don't have an answer. So I said, so my brother is a PhD from Stanford and he's a professor at UCLA in the business school. That's a stupid answer, right? I mean, my brother is a professor, so what? So the guy said, your brother is a professor. Okay. Now, there was a legendary professor at IIM Ahmedabad called Professor V.L. Mote. He's passed away now. And he had taught some 32 different courses over 30 years and various things. He was a real legend in the Indian business school fraternity. So then he asked me a second question, did Mote teach you? Now, Professor Mote had retired when I joined IIM Ahmedabad, but he came for 2 classes. So I said, sir, he came for 2 classes, he had retired. I see. He taught your brother, no? So I said, yeah, he taught my brother, which is true. So, okay, you're on. Right? So that's how I got my first, teaching assignment. And I did a good job of it because I worked really hard. I got material from overseas, my brother sent it to me. I went to the IIM Ahmedabad library and photocopied a lot of stuff. And I worked really hard. And it was the highest graded course that year. And so I got into teaching at business school. So this was my second risk reduction strategy. Everybody needs some jugaad. This is my jugaad. So when you're starting out with bootstrapping, you don't have money. You're broke. You've got to somehow get by. So that is how I became an entrepreneur. Okay. So if I, look at what do I look for an entrepreneur? So there is no formula, but essentially you want. I look for something in entrepreneur and I look for something in the business, both. So let's take the case of Zomato. We invested in Zomato in 2010. We were the first investor in Zomato. We today still are the largest shareholders in Zomato. I met Nitin Puri for the first time in 2010. Okay. So we were using Zomato. When Zomato was called Foodie Bay initially. Naam baad mein badla hai, Zomato. So I was using Foodie Bay. I liked it. And why I liked it was the only restaurant listing site which had all the menu cards. So you could see the menu cards, you could see what dish, what price, where, and then decide where to go to eat. That time there was no food delivery. Or website, but it was menu card listing. So somebody had taken the trouble to go to every restaurant and pick up the menu card. And that's a lot of serious food serving. So I reached out to Nitin. I didn't know him. I found his contact somewhere. And I called him up and I said, let's meet, and we met. And I asked him a simple question. ये मेन्यू कार्ड का आइडिया कहाँ से आया? And he said, after IIT Delhi, I was working in Bain Consulting in Gurgaon. There were 40, 50 people, maybe 60 people, mostly young, mostly male, mostly single, many living away from home. What it meant was they won't bring lunch from home, right? Office hours are long. You invariably ended up having 2 meals a day in the office. Office may, cafeteria tha, but it didn't serve food. You could bring your own food and eat there. So to make life easy for me and my colleagues, the admin team had collated all roughly 80 menu cards or menu cards from 80 restaurants that will deliver to that location and put them in a file folder. But he said, it's huge pain, yaar. 1 baje sab log aate hain lunch ke liye. वो line लगा you access that file. You get 30 seconds of the file. You decide what to order. You follow the restaurant. They'll deliver, and then you come back after 40 minutes to pay, and then get the food. Huge pain. So this one Saturday I came to office and I scanned all those menu cards and put them up on my personal page in the office intranet. And he said, within 3 days, the IT infra guy came to me, said, man, what have you done? Why is 95% of internal traffic going to your page? He says, the penny dropped. I realized that aggregation of menu cards has got value. Just as, I had realized 15 years ago, aggregation of jobs has got value. I'll tell you that story later. So, that's when I said I quit my job and I went to restaurant, aggregated all the menu cards, put them together and launched the site, and traffic began to come. So the market gave me a signal. Right? So you talked about business idea. Business idea कहाँ से आता है? Business idea, best business idea customer से आता है. Know your customer, observe your customer, stay close to your customer. Dipinder knew that if he puts all the menu cards together, traffic will come because it is already coming onto his office internet page with just 80 restaurants there. Where did I get the idea of Naukri from? I observed in my job in HMM that when the office copy of the Business India magazine would come, everybody would read it from the back. Because in those days, there were 35 to 40 pages of appointment ads in the back of Business India. लोग आर्टिकल नहीं पढ़ते थे, लोग जॉब ऐड पढ़ते थे पहले. And they were not looking for jobs. They were working on good multinational corporations, but still they would read it. So I knew that if you aggregate enough jobs, you'll get the traffic. Because the customer had told me. So the best ideas come from customers. Observe customers, figure out unsolved problems, look at their behavior. They will give you a signal as to what they want and what they'll sell. What is the first thing I did here? I say, "Pehle question डालो." Okay? I can come and talk on anything. Okay? But if you ask me questions, maybe I can tailor my talk to be more relevant. Then I know what you want. So observe customers and prospective customers. It's really important. Study is consumer behavior. I observe consumer behavior. I launched Naukri on that basis. It succeeded. Deepinder observed consumer behavior. He launched Zomato on that basis. It succeeded. What else? You know what? I think I'll stop here. Then maybe you can get into conversation, Sanjeev, and we can be this.
I think those answers would be very enlightening.
Okay. What more can B schools do to produce more entrepreneurs? So, around 2007 or 8, so I'm on the board of this IIM Ahmedabad Center for Innovation, Incubation, Entrepreneurship. So, sometime around 2007 or 8, I was called there and went for a meeting. And they said, Sanjeev, we have a problem. I said, what? Said that very few entrepreneurs are now coming out of Ahmedabad, because we are getting very high salaries. So, the average salary in my class at IIM Ahmedabad was 44,000 rupees per annum, 3,800 rupees a month. The entrepreneur salary was 0. It's currently running at 35 lakhs a year. Okay, the entrepreneurial salary is still zero. So the opportunity cost is really high financially. So he says the problem now is that people who join IIM Ahmedabad already knowing before they join which companies they want to join at the end of IIM Ahmedabad. So मैं Goldman Sachs जाऊँगा, मैं Morgan Stanley जाऊँगा, मैं McKinsey जाऊँगा. They know that. They know the targets. So that's the ambition. We don't have enough entrepreneurs. What should we do? So I said, part of the problem is, of course, the salary. But another part of the problem which you can fix is that the stories you tell the students on campus, all the case studies, all the guest speakers, they are all managers in large corporations. So if you start telling different stories, at least partly, maybe some people may want to be entrepreneurs. So how should we do it? I said, Dekho, you should write a book on stories of alumni of IIM Ahmedabad who are from backgrounds just like the current students, which is largely middle class backgrounds, not from wealthy families, not from business families, who went on to do entrepreneurship. And they said, good idea. And they commissioned a book. And that book, some of you may have heard of it, is Stay Hungry, Stay Foolish by Rashmi Mansar. It's a story of, I think, 25 IIMA alumni, one chapter per person, on entrepreneurs who came out of IIMA. Say, ऐसा भी होता है. These are people just like you. Here's the story. And they would give this to every student who joined. And the book just sold and sold and sold. It became a bestseller. It sold some several lakh copies by now. It's out of print. So what can business schools do? I think tell different stories. Have different role models. Have all sorts of role models. I'm not saying knock off the large corporation guys, but have all sorts of role models. Okay. Business ideas done, live for a day or plan longer term, दोनों करने पड़ेंगे. You know, it's not one or the other. Because if you don't survive today, there's no long term. And you don't think long term, then what is the point? Too married. And the long term is made of a series of short terms. Very motivation, wala. See, I tell you, you don't make an entrepreneur money. Now, money is a happy incidental outcome of doing something you love. If you want to be an entrepreneur. Now, you must do something you love because, or an idea you believe in, but the truth is, you will be tested. And many times you feel like giving it up. And if you don't love what you're doing, you won't stay on in there. So many of my friends who started out, quit and went back to a job, they had a choice. They all MBAs from the IIMs. They got the job offers. So that's a problem with having been well qualified, is that you will always have options. And the problem with entrepreneurship is there will always be adversity, at least in the beginning. So you will always have a good choice to go back to a job. But the truth is, if you go back to the job, you won't succeed as an entrepreneur. To succeed as an entrepreneur, you got to be there long enough. कंपनी बनाने कम से कम 10 साल लगते हैं, कम से कम. और कंपनी बनाने के लिए फाउंडर का तेल मिल जाता है. So you got to really commit it. So your motivation need not be for money. In fact, बहुत पैसे नहीं बनेंगे for the first several years, maybe. Your motivation has to be, I want to do this, and I will stick it out. See, if you don't stick it out, you're wasting your time. So you've got to be able to really stick it out. And that's very important. In a sense, I had it easier because I did, पंखाई कम थी उस दिनों में, so मेरी operating cost कम थी. Today, it's, you have a serious opportunity cost financially, so you got to really want it to give it all up to do this. The problem is that it's the success stories that get written about in the media. The failures don't get written about. So people get the wrong notion that अगर मैं founder बन गया तो मैं कामयाब guaranteed होगा. कोई guarantee नहीं है. Good chance है if you are smart, and I would encourage you to do it if you are interested. But don't dabble in it. That's not a good idea. Be committed. Would I have done anything differently? It's very easy for me to say, no, I would not have, because we are now successful. If we had not been successful, I would probably say we've done everything differently. शायद मैं आंसर बनता ही नहीं. We don't know. So it's not an easy question for me to answer. How did I get the custody job? I got the custody job because I was not happy with the work I was doing, and I didn't see my future in the corporate sector as an employee. So that's why. That's not relevant. I didn't have the custody job. मैं बहुत डरा हुआ था. Look, I'm a standard middle class guy. My father was in the government. My mom was a homemaker. There was no money in the family. So I had many fears. But I got the custody job because, boss, I didn't want to do that. Scaling with core values. Yeah, ये core values is a very MBA question. Scaling is hard. Right? Now, look, you will not depart from your core values in all likelihood simply because you are who you are. Right? Scaling is harder. So, staying with your core values is easier because that's instinctive. You are what you are. Right? Scaling is harder. Scaling is a lot about the product market fit. Am I producing the right product? Is the market large enough? Do I have the right team? Do I have the right product offering? Am I executing well? Scaling में 10-15 साल लगते हैं. And you got to keep at it. Profit or growth with burn. Here I'll say profit and growth, ideally. Because if you found a repeatable profit unit, you can do that. If you have to burn to grow, then you have to ask yourself at some point in time, then do I have a viable business? If I don't have a viable business, then at some point in time, I'm going to stop, investors are going to stop funding me. And then what happens to my company and my employees and me? So ideally you need growth and profit, or growth with profit. And that's what you should be hunting for, the holy grail, the repeatable profitable unit. How do I? So let me explain to you what repeatable profitable unit, this is a term we have coined, that any good company to scale with profit, you need what we call a repeatable profitable unit. So, we were bootstrapping for 3 years, from 97 to 2000. And we raised venture capital in the year 2000. So now we had some money in the bank. And we said, why don't we try and experiment? See, till then we were selling through direct mail. हम चिट्ठियाँ भेजते थे, लोग चेक भेजते थे, along with the job, and we'd upload it. And हमारी sales थी महीने के 3 लाख रुपए. And we were breaking even. We said, why don't we hire 4 salespeople, put them in the market, let them go and make sales calls on HR managers rather than merely just sending letters and see what happens. And we did that, and within 6 months, we hired 4 salespeople. okay, in Delhi. Within 6 months, we discovered something interesting. So the total cost of the average salesperson was in the year 2000, was about 22,000 rupees a month, which means tankha, conveyance, sales commission, mobile phone bill, overheads, which is office rent and interiors and shared computer, all that. हमें लाभ होगा 22,000 रुपये महीना. And the average revenue of that salesperson within 6 months was महीने का 50,000. It had lost, right? And there was no variable cost that we had because it didn't cost us any money to put one extra job in operation. Which meant 28 रुपये profit था. It had lost. We had found a repeatable profit unit. We said just keep hiring salespeople till the last sales guy does not break even on his own cost. And that's when the market is saturated. So within 2 years, we had 240 salespeople in 11 cities. And we had scaled revenue 35 times in 2 years. We had found our repeatable profitable unit. If you're doing a business and you want to scale profitably, you have to find your repeatable profitable unit. It could be anything. Depends on, in the case of Naukri, was a sales guy. In the case of a fast food chain, it could be the outlet, it could be the burger, it could be anything. Find the repeatable profitable unit. And once you find it, just relentlessly change it. You will get scale and you will get profit. Now, how will AI impact this? I don't know. I don't have an idea. We're still observing. Yeah. I think accelerator incubators, I think great. It is great for education. I'm not sure how many great companies are called accelerator incubators in India, but for students to go in there and learn something by trying and doing, it's a good idea. Yeah. When to become an entrepreneur? Yeah, I don't know. There are success stories and failure stories all around. I mean, Bill Gates dropped out of college. The Google guys did not complete the PhDs. Mark Zuckerberg dropped out of college. I worked 5 years. Deep Kala worked 10 years, maybe 8 years. So I don't know. You will know. Actually, I know that I could not done it earlier. I didn't believe I was ready. Okay, so straight out of college, I would have failed. I had no confidence. I couldn't deal with people. I had no idea. I didn't know execution. I had no leadership experience. It's a bit like asking, what's the right time to fall in love? Should I fall in love when I'm 19 or 21 or 27? You fall in love when you meet the right person, yeah. Because you know you're ready. You have the right idea. You will know it. But I have found, in my own situation, my 5 years of work experience helped me. But there are others who started almost straight away. And they've also succeeded. Motivation, positive change, yeah, ये सब ठीक है, but you got to survive. You figure out a survival strategy first. All higher order things. Good to have, very good to have, but figure out a survival strategy. I think I've done all the questions. Is there any questions, sir? No. Sandeep?
Yeah, you didn't cover the bit about the university experience. A
A
lot of them are very curious about Ashoka University.
Ashoka University. Yeah, so we're all confused very often when we're young. We don't know, we drift. I think I drifted from the year 1980 till maybe 2003-4. So मैं 20-24 साल मैंने drift किया, मैंने experiment किया with what I was studying, with what I was working at, with whatever business I was trying to do. I was drifting. I really found my calling only after we launched Naukri. I said, yeah, this is what I was looking for all along. And I stumbled upon it. So one of the things that happened to me is, I went to a school, it was all boys school. Right? We had to study hard. We got caned if we didn't study hard. And it was academically a very good school. So all good boys did science. Right? And after science, you did either medicine or engineering. Engineering meant IIT in those days, only IIT. Also, in 1980, there weren't so many private engineering colleges. So I was hell-bent on IIT. And in 1980, I happened to qualify for the IIT entrance. Now, I had got into IIT after class 11 because there was a 3-year window where you could do IIT after class. You could do after class 11 and after class 12. Because the country was switching over from class 11 to class 12. So some states were class 11, some states were class 12. So IIT said, "Hum class 11 ke baad le lenge," even if you are in a class 12 on a state. Now Delhi was a class 12 on a state, which means that I got into IIT before my school leaving exam, 1 year earlier. So I went for this counseling, IIT counseling. Anybody from IIT? There's a counseling, right? Counseling medical test hota hai. Medical test mein they use the dots and color blindness. Yeah. So I learned I was partially colorblind. The doctor said, "It's okay, son, you can join. You're colorblind, but so some courses and some careers will be close to you, but you can join." So for the first time, I kind of thought, "Yaar, ye colorblindness, some careers close, some departments close. Agar koi problem ho jaye 2 saal baad, and I have to quit IIT and do something else, I have to go back to class 12, write my board exam again, and then apply." So I said, "Yeah, this is the risk." So I thought about it. Now, the deal was that IIT was then a 5-year course. The BTech, abhi 4 saal ka ban gaya, 5 saal ka. And उस समय dual degree type नहीं थे. It was just simple degree. So 5 saal का course था BTech, and that was last year that you could write IIT after class 12, because the whole country switched over class 12. So अगले साल से only after class 12, and it became a 4-year course. So if you joined in 1980, you graduated in 85. If you joined in 81, also graduated in 85. Right? And I said, "Yaar, अगले साल से my junior batch can't write it. All the good guys from my batch have gone into IIT already. So competition नहीं होगा और 4 साल का course है. So why don't I do one thing? Why don't I say no to IIT this year, complete my class 12, write it again. There's a good chance I'll get in again. And I won't lose a year also. I'll have a class 12 pass. I'll still be colorblind, but I'll have a class 12 pass." So that's what I did. But in that 1 year in class 12, I sat and thought long and hard. And I said, "Yaar, why do I want to be an engineer?" I never asked this question earlier. I was just doing what my friends were doing, what my parents said, my teacher said, my brother did. We all, many of us follow the herd. I bet you 80% of people here in this room doing an MBA. I haven't really thought about my MBA. Naukri mein nahi actually. Yeah? So we're doing an MBA. So after that thinking, I concluded, I don't want to be an engineer. I just want to be an IIT. I want the brand, I want the label. I'm running a club, I'm running a tribe. I'm looking for a brand that will open the right doors. And then I did well enough in class 12 to get Stephen's Economics. I said, "ये भी brand है, ये भी club है, ये 3 साल का है, वो 4 साल का है." So I went and joined Economics at St. Stephen's. And after I graduated, I used to keep wondering, did I make the right decision? And I wasn't sure. Because how many people here studied undergrad in DU? Okay, I believe it's now a semester system, right? So DU was a pretty Vela place in those days. Yeah. You could get by studying the last 2 months. Okay? So I finished from DU saying, yeah, I've done okay. You know, I got a job, I went to Ahmedabad, I became an entrepreneur, things are okay. But it could have been better, those 3 years. But not my problem. But in 2007, the company gone public, all of that. St. Stephen's College announced a 50% reservation in admissions. I have no problem with that. It's the right. But they said there will be a 35% gap in the cutoff between the open and reserve category, which got all the alumni very worked up and alarmed. Saying, देखो अगर 35% का gap है, 5% gap, 35% gap is like hell of a thing. So we went to talk to the college and they didn't budge. Which is when some of us decided, maybe we should start a new university. And that's where the idea of Ashoka came. कि एक नया कॉलेज, एक नई यूनिवर्सिटी, थोड़ा सा अलग, the American system of width and then major. India में क्या होता है? We inherited the British system. You choose your subject, and then you spend your 3 years, 4 years studying just that. In the US, you study 7, 8, 9 subjects for the first 2 years, then decide your major. In India, your major is decided by your marks, not by what you're interested in doing. 95% of people who get into IIT want to do computer science. What the seats thing? So they have to settle for the department, so the rank is not good enough. Ultimately, they all work in computer science. Even if you study civil engineering. You get eco in DU in a certain college if you got these marks, otherwise you have to settle on some other course. We are saying that get into Ashoka, figure out what you want to do, and do your major. And those of us who do our majors, like I did science with bio. I ended up in economics. I didn't know what economics was when Ikati. On the other hand, in a system like Ashoka, we figured that you allow people to experiment for the first 2 years and then decide what major they want to do. We also said that we collective philanthropy, which is that it doesn't belong to any one business person or one family or one company. Ashoka today has 200 founders who are donors. It's important, it's a collective effort. So Ashoka has many firsts. It's also very expensive, and we are aware of that. We want to make it inclusive, so we've got a very generous financial aid program. Roughly 40 to 50% of the students at Ashoka are receiving some form of financial aid or the other. From 25% to 100%, depending on your family income. So let's see, it's a bold new experiment. So far so good, 10 saal ho gaye, it's done well. We're happy. We want to continue doing well.
Any questions?
Any questions?
I think we've done the question, right?
No.
Yeah, may I sit down?
Yeah, please.
Sorry, may I say it? Sure.
Is the mic working?
We'll take any questions for the panelists if there are any
First, Shaak.
from the audience.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about family. Entrepreneurship, middle class sometimes doesn't go together. How was the reaction of your family when you told them you wanted to give up this gold label job and?
No, I think entrepreneurs will be very supportive families in India because there are too many safety nets in this country. And so I must say my parents, my wife's parents were all very supportive. When I said I'm going to quit, right? Nobody stopped me. Of course, my batchmates thought I'd gone crazy. And by the year 2000, I was 11 years out of IMA, and financially I was probably the worst off person in my class. Right? And what my friends now tell me is that they were all very worried about me. And, and they would talk behind my back and they'd say, what a bright guy, but he has ruined his career completely. 11 साल हो गए, nothing to show for it. But then things turned.
I know it's not a regular. This is not your regular question, but when we were at lunch, Sanjeev was regaling us with a story from the past where I also had a small role. I'm going to request him, if it's okay by him, to tell us that story, because that's what he's going to tell you. हाँ जी?
कौन सी वाली बोलूं?
ये अपना HMM conference.
गोवा वाला?
हाँ जी. Because I think that is something all people here in management school ought to learn. This is what they say they don't teach you at management school.
Yeah, so I had worked 3 years in advertising. I got a job at HMM, which is after GlaxoSmithKline in marketing. And every year there used to be a sales conference where all the sales people would come, the marketing people would come, and global senior management would come. There used to be a conference 1 year Srinagar, 1 year Goa, 1 year Kathmandu. It'll rotate. That year was meant to be Srinagar. And Kashmir went trouble chalu ho gaya, 89. So it was last minute decided we'll not do it in Kashmir, we'll do it in Goa. Goa May in 89, there was only one business hotel that was large enough to offer us 300 rooms where the whole sales force would come. And that was Taj Fort Aguada, and that was booked out. So the company scrambled and found rooms in a resort hotel called Bajoda. And it was not a business hotel, it was a resort hotel. So there's a lot of worry. He was, I hope we can run a good conference there. So Sandeep was in the ad agencies handling the account. I had prior experience in advertising and therefore organizing conferences. And so the two of us were tasked to do a recce of the place. 3 days before the conference, aap log jao. So Sandeep went first, I followed a day later. And we turned up in Bajoda. I thought it was a very paid holiday. I was in Bajoda, right? So here we did our recce. सारे कॉन्फ्रेंस वेन्यू देखा, कमरे देखे, जहाँ बाहर जाना डिनर के लिए वो सब जगह देखा, right? And we did that for a few hours, and then सब कुछ ठीक है. What can go wrong? So the one thing we didn't check, and which I think no reasonable person would check, was when is the water in the swimming pool changed? Right? And what happens when that is done? So anyway, so all global senior management turns up, all national senior management turns up, all sales guys turn up. Conference is starting at 9:30 a.m. Right? Now this is a resort hotel. Okay, so people wake up at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and then come for breakfast in their pajamas. यहाँ पे business conference चल रही है suddenly. They're not geared for it. The swimming pool water is changed 1 day a week, and it is changed at 8:30 in the morning on that day of the week. And when that happens, the water in the room bathrooms goes off. So 8:30 बजे that day, I have got up at 6 o'clock. I've got ready. I'm in charge, and Sandeep also got up, got ready, right? हम तो बैठे हुए. Suddenly 8:30 बजे water goes off. We don't know it, right? This is before mobile phones. We don't know it. And the global chair is sitting in the bathroom with soap and and all the senior management and all the sales guys, and suddenly all hell breaks loose, right? And we don't know what is wrong. So finally people traced me. I said, what? He said, no, pani nahi hai. I said, acha, pani nahi hai. So we go. It took us 20 minutes to find out pani kyun nahi hai. Because swimming pool ka pani band kar diya. Then it took us another 20 minutes to get it switched off. So 40-minute disruption with the global chairman sitting in his bathroom with soap. You know, and so I told Sandeep, what's going to happen to me? You know, I was supposed to be in charge of this thing. So Sandeep, don't worry.
You see, that is the fun that, that's the fun I thought we should talk about.
It's fun only in hindsight.
Sanjeev, of course, was client, and in the pecking order, client is much higher. Ad agency mein there is a second equation like this every morning. So whatever can go wrong does go wrong, and irrespective of what they teach you in consumer behavior or teach you in any other class, nothing prepares you for the actual real life that you finally face. But thank you. Any other questions? Though I think we took all the questions in the beginning, and I think Sanjeev covered every single one of them, and fabulously well.
More than.
So, Sanjeev, anything else you would like to say?
No, but listen, I mean, those of us who want to be entrepreneurs, please be entrepreneurs. Okay, I hope I have discouraged anything, but I'm just saying, go in with a reality check.
I can't say anything in the presence of a doyen like him. I have had the good fortune of being a professional for well over 18, 19 years before I switched to being an entrepreneur. So I had an equal innings as an entrepreneur. The one thing which he didn't say, and I hope he would have said, which I will say, though it goes beyond my mandate, is I think the biggest motivation that I had when I turned entrepreneur after many, many years of being in very successful jobs. Aisa nahi tha, you failed somewhere, so you were looking for, a better opportunity. I think for me, the biggest joy of being an entrepreneur was that I did not have a boss. In those 20 years of working for various bosses, one thing I had started kind of resenting at some point of time is that the one thing I couldn't choose was my boss. So not having a boss, forget everything else in terms of making money or whatever or the other, I think that is also a joy in itself. You're your own boss. Mood hai karo, nahi mood hai mat karo. Pakadne wala to nahi hai. Kyo, sir? Is that also?
Absolutely. We've made an ad film out of it also.
Yes.
Hari Sadhu.
He has the most famous ad film which some of you may at least have seen, Hari Sadhu. Yeah? So that is actually
a bad boss, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think a bad boss can also be sometimes a good stimulus for you to step out. Yeah. So I think with this, we come to the end of the third Nitin Puri Memorial Lecture. I am not going to ask for, another round of formal thanks. I'll just say a few things just to wind this up. First and foremost, of course, a very, very, very big thank you to Sanjeev. It's actually the Founders' Day of Ashoka University, and they have a function today. There is a big function tomorrow. But because he had promised me and committed that he would be here, he has honored that promise, and we are delighted that he came here today. Big round of applause again. Thank you. A big thank you to the Honorable Dean and all members of the FMS faculty. This is the third year. Professor Suneja was here when we first started. Now Professor Venkat, and I'm really, really humbled by all the love and affection that I get every time when I call up and say it's time for the next year's lecture. Their blessings, their support, I think a million thanks, sir. I don't normally, the last 2 years he specifically told me not to, but I'm not going to ask him this year. But the leading light, the force behind this entire lecture, besides the official, support that we get from FMS, comes from the one most important gentleman in this gathering, which is Professor Singla. So I don't think this lecture would have started out in the first case and would not reach to where it has gotten to without the active involvement, and he's involved to the most micro detail in putting this lecture together. So thank you very much, sir. A big thank you to Shaak, coming all the way from Dubai. It's good. First year we had Avi Bhojani, who was Nitin's boss for many years. He took the time off to come all the way. This year it's Shaak who's come down. So it's good to have friends of Nitin who come and tell us stories about him and talk about him and reiterate the fact that we celebrate this day in the honor of a very, very, very fine gentleman. A very, very big thank you, of course, to Radhika. Every year she comes there and she's part of the celebration. I think the children are on the live stream. Are they today? Yeah, but they will be seeing on, I think they've been asking for it earlier. So thank you for being here and great to have you. Last but not the least, the MSA. Yatin, the one man I have called, I think, 100 times in the last, month or two. Thank you, man. You are special. And these days I'm told you're also GSEC, so that makes it doubly special. I'm not going to talk about the details here. We're not going to discuss GSEC. Right? Also, last but not the least, thanks to my daughter Carol. She's been helping with all of the putting together, getting the trophies done, and so on and so forth. A big round of applause for everybody who's together.
First, I would like to request Dean Sir to present the memento to Sanjeev Sir.
Come. Yeah, he's gone off.
Yeah, he's taking the lens together.
Fabulous, that was.
Thank you so much.
I've seen something so.
Really.
Come on, yeah.
Okay, please.
Okay.
Next, I would like to request Sandeep Sir to present the memento to Dean Sir. Next, I would like to request Dean Sir to present the memento to Shaak Sir. Next, I would like to request Dean Sir to present the memento to Radhika Ma'am. Next, I would like to request Sandeep Sir to present the memento to Singla Sir. Singla Sir, if you could join us on the stage. Next, I would like to request Dean Sir to present the memento to Sandeep Sir.
Of course.
Finally, I would like to request Sandeep Sir to present the memento to the MSA.
Yes, that is the most important one. Come on, Nitin. please request everyone to join us for chai.
I would like to request all the guests and the faculty to proceed to the basement for the high tea. I request the students to stay back for this.
5 minutes. Take 5 minutes. Chalo. We'll get this put in your class.
हाँ वो कर अच्छा यतिन आगे आगे से फोटो
एक फोटो करवा दो क्या? एक फोटो इधर आ जाते हैं आगे आ जाओ
Yes.